Single Mom's Heartwarming Journey revealed how one kind CO transformed their lives in an incredible twist of fate. Emily sighed as she glanced at the clock. Another early morning in Chicago's bustling streets. Another day lived on the edge of exhaustion. Her 10-year-old daughter, Mia, bounced in the kitchen, humming her favorite tune as she carefully poured cereal into a bowl. The small kitchen, adorned with crayon doodles and family photos, brimmed with warmth but also whispered of uncertainty. Each day was an uphill battle of balancing work, bills, and trying to keep the laughter alive in their small apartment. When Mia flashed her a toothy grin, Emily felt a bittersweet burn in her chest. Life wasn't easy as a single mom working 2 jobs, but every smile made it worthwhile. She hustled as a waitress at the local diner, serving coffee to the regulars who sometimes doubled as a shoulder to lean on. Then, the late nights followed, scrubbing corporate offices, fighting fatigue as she followed the rhythms of the city. The dream of college lingered, just over the horizon, tantalizingly out of reach. That day, however, would be different. As Emily stepped outside, she noticed a man walking through the neighborhood. Mark, the CEO of a bright tech startup, took it upon himself to connect with local families, breaking the corporate mold. He found himself drawn to Emily's determination, her spirit flickering like a flame against the shadows of hardship. "Hey, how is it going?" he called, genuinely curious as he approached her. The connection was instantaneous. In those moments, Emily shared stories of her struggles, but also her hopes. He listened, wide-eyed, realizing his privilege and the realities of hard-working families. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and Mark became a fixture in the community, recognizing the strength of families like Emily's. A chance arose, a professional position, the kind of opportunity Emily thought was reserved for others. Excitement surged through her, but it was soon quieted by the weight of reality. Mia fell ill, an alarming fever that sent Emily's heart into a panic. Suddenly, the job offer felt like a distant star, sparkling yet unattainable. Emily stood at a drilling crossroads. Balance ambition against duty? The opportunity of a lifetime against her daughter's immediate need? When Mia's condition improved, the community event approached, a chance to showcase local talents. As Emily stepped onto the makeshift stage, her concealed gifts ignited. Her resilient spirit poured over the crowd, igniting an audience filled with admiration and connection. Mark observed as the spark in Emily illuminated everything around her and shifted something deep within him. It made him confront uncomfortable truths about his own life. Yet, as hopes intertwined, a gut-wrenching doubt began to coil within Emily. Just when things seemed to weave together, an unexpected twist threatened to unravel it all, leaving her to question if the American dream was ever meant for someone like her. With the sun setting and her heart wavering, Emily faced the unknown. Was help on the way, or should she prepare to forge ahead alone? The hardest climbs often led to the most beautiful vistas, and she hoped this climb would be no different. The community event buzzed with excitement as families gathered, bringing blankets, food, and music to the park. Emily watched Mia playing with the other kids, her laughter ringing like a melody against the backdrop of cheerful chatter. For a moment, everything felt right. The worries about bills and work faded into the background, replaced by the joy of seeing her daughter so carefree. But then the thought crept back in. The job opportunity. Was it really possible? Could she have a life beyond just scraping by? Each time she entertained the idea, doubt clawed at her heart. She was used to survival mode, not thriving. What if I fail? Raced through her mind like a runaway train. Mark stood at the edge of the crowd, talking with locals and sharing ideas like the genuine leader he strived to be. His eyes occasionally met Emily's, and in those brief moments, she felt a mix of comfort and apprehension. He had offered her a chance, a path forward, but it came wrapped in uncertainty. As the sun began to sink, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emily volunteered to help with the closing activities. The festivities wrapped up, but excitement filled the air. Mark approached her, his vibrant energy surrounding him like a warm blanket. "You did amazing out there," he said, a sincere smile illuminating his face. "You connected with everyone. There is something special about your spirit." Emily felt heat rise in her cheeks. "Thank you. I want Mia to see that life can be more than just this." She gestured around, indicating the hustle, the struggle, the endless cycle. "You deserve more," Mark replied, and for the first time, Emily believed it. Yet as the crowd thinned and children were herded home, an unexpected storm rolled in, a harsh reminder that life could change in an instant. Rain poured like the heavens had opened, drenching the park and everyone inside it. Families rushed to gather their belongings. Emily instinctively grabbed Mia, shielding her from the sudden downpour, but the chaos around them only surged. Mark hurried towards them, passing umbrellas to others while his shirt was soaked through. "Let us get you both under cover," he shouted above the noise. They dashed towards a nearby pavilion, giggling despite the situation. Once inside, Emily looked at Mark, his eyes sparkling with laughter. "Thanks for everything. You didn't have to help like that," she said, feeling a strange spark of connection swell between them. "How could I not? It's what we do, right?" "We lift each other up," he replied, still catching his breath. But the moment of camaraderie was abruptly shattered when an onlooker approached, a look of concern creeping onto her face. "Emily, you might want to check on the kids," she said urgently, looking behind her. Panic choked Emily's throat. "What do you mean?" The woman pointed towards the exit, where young Mia was struggling to keep up with the group, eyes wide with fear as they rushed from the pavilion, lost among the swirling crowd. "Maya!" Emily yelled, her heart racing as she spun toward the door. The panic in her chest mushroomed into sheer terror as she forced her way through the throng of bodies. With Mark at her side, they dashed into the rain, the world around them blurring into chaos. Until just moments ago, Emily had felt she was moving forward, but now, everything stood on a precipice. Could she hold on to this chance so elusive and fragile? The storm thundered overhead, but the real tempest roared within her, drowning out everything else. "Mia," she called again, fear gripping her voice. Each second felt like an eternity as she pushed through the last row of people. Mark's steady presence beside her gave her strength. But when they reached the edge of the crowd, the realization hit. Where was Mia? What if she was lost? Would Emily have to face another challenge head-on, staring down darkness once more? As the rain continued to pour, there they stood, the swell of uncertainty pressing against their hearts. "Keep looking," Mark encouraged, his own eyes scanning the crowd, a look of determination stitched across his face. Emily felt the weight of reality crashing down around her. Did she have the strength to face this storm, or would this new hope slip through her fingers like water? With a deep breath, she took a step forward into the unknown. The shouts and laughter of children echoed in Emily's mind, a haunting contrast to the chaos enveloping her. Rain pelted down harder, drenching her clothing, but she barely noticed. Adrenaline surged through her veins, fueling her panic. It felt as if the world was spinning too quickly, the vibrant colors of the park fading beneath gray clouds. "Mia," she called out again, her voice cracking under the strain. Each syllable felt like a thread pulling at her heart, unraveling her composure. She darted through the clumps of people huddling under awnings, desperately scanning every face, every small figure that darted by. Mark stayed close, his eyes sharp and focused. "We'll find her," he comforted, but the resolve in his voice barely eased the knot in Emily's chest. With every passing second, fear twisted tighter. It was only moments before she spotted a small silhouette a little further down the path, partially obscured beneath a worn-out umbrella. The girl beside her was tugging at Mia's arm, both trying to navigate the frantic crowd. Emily's heart leaped. "Mia?" The little girl turned, her wide eyes locking onto Emily's. Relief rushed over Emily like a wave, but it was soon mixed with a fresh wave of dread as she realized Mia was not alone. She was being pulled away from the safety of the pavilion, her small body caught up in a dizzying swirl of rain and confusion. "Mia, come here!" Emily shouted louder, forcing her way through, her heart pounding with urgent fear. Just as the other girl yanked Mia farther away, Emily spotted the telltale signs of panic in her daughter's face, the tiny quivering lip, the glistening tears gathering but not yet spilling over. Mark tightened his grip on Emily's arm. "I'll go." His voice was determined. "Stay here." But as he broke away, Emily couldn't embrace the stillness. No, she couldn't stand back. Not when Mia needed her. "Mia, it's okay. I'm right here," she yelled, lunging forward, desperation clouding her judgment. And then, in an instant, everything lurched to a stop. As if the storm had paused to see, Emily reached out and caught Mia's gaze again. They were only a few feet apart now. The moment hung heavy. Time slowed, and for a heartbeat, it felt like they were the only two souls in a relentless storm. "Mommy," the words slipped out in a whisper that was both an apology and a plea. "Run to me," Emily cried, longing to wrap her arms around her child. The warmth of that embrace had to be stronger than any storm. With one decisive push from within, Mia dropped the umbrella and dashed toward her, a burst of courage igniting as she leaped into Emily's waiting arms. They collided, soaked but alive. The scent of rain mingled with the sweet, familiar smell of Mia, a perfect mix that grounded Emily. "I thought I lost you," Emily gasped, squeezing her daughter tightly, as though that simple hold could shield them from the world. "I'm sorry, Mommy," Mia whimpered, her tears now mingling with rain. "I got scared." Emily pulled back just enough to look into her daughter's eyes. "It's okay, baby. I'm right here." "I want to let go," Mark returned, slightly out of breath, relief visible in his expression. "You found her. That's what matters," he said, a proud smile breaking through the lingering tension. For a moment, Emily basked in the connection she felt with Mark through their shared relief. It was a flash of warmth that pushed away the chill from the storm, a reminder of what community truly meant. But as Emily hoisted Mia's drenched hair out of her face, another thought pulled at her. A tempest unraveled deep inside, the last vestiges of doubt swirling again. What if this is just a fleeting moment? She wondered. What if I can't keep her safe always? The answer felt just out of reach, dangling like string from a kite in the wind. Emily's heart raced, not knowing where she stood now, only knowing she had to make the next choice. As the rain softened into a gentle drizzle, the air thick with uncertainty, Emily's thoughts turned to the future. Could she truly carve out a better life, face the unknown storms ahead, and still protect the most precious part of her world? She caught Mark's glance, his steady gaze anchoring her like a promise. And just then, the tension in the air cranked up a notch, the storm's remnants whispering of challenges to come. What happens next? Emily thought, looking down at Mia's tear-streaked but brave face. In that moment of quiet between tempest and dawn, everything felt possible and impossibly precarious. Where would this new path lead, and could she muster the courage to follow? The rain slowly dissipated, reduced to a gentle mist that felt soothing against Emily's skin. She watched the droplets cling to Mia's hair, glittering like tiny jewels, and smiled through her remaining fear. Mia's face, still flushed from the thrill of their reunion, lifted toward Emily's with a mixture of remorse and relief. "Can we go home now?" Mia's small voice broke through the quiet. It carried an innocence that gripped Emily's heart, sending a wave of protective instincts through her. The storm may have passed, but the tension inside Emily still churned. "Just a few more minutes, sweetheart," Emily replied, kneeling to be at eye level with her daughter. "Let us find a place where we can get warm and dry." As they turned back toward the pavilion, the swirling crowd had begun to thin, revealing a garden of vibrant colors peeking through the rain-soaked earth. Mark joined them, placing a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. "You did great," he said, his voice low, filled with warmth. There was something in his tone that suggested a deeper understanding, a shared recognition of the weight they carried together. But Emily wasn't entirely placated by the calm outside. Questions waited in the shadows of her mind. What if there were storms she couldn't protect Mia from? What if one slip, one misstep left them exposed again? She bit her lip, wrestling with uncertainty, longing for solid ground amidst the shifting sands of fears and hopes. Just then, a familiar figure emerged from the leading edge of the crowd, a woman with chestnut hair, wearing a tailored raincoat that shimmered with raindrops like the petals of flowers around them. It was Sandra, the CEO from Emily's recent job interview. They had exchanged fleeting words at the company's open house, but nothing could convey the emotional gulf that shrank between them now. Emily, Sandra called, stepping closer and her expression shifting from surprise to empathy upon seeing the drenched little girl in Emily's arms. I saw the commotion. I'm so glad you found her. Her voice was genuine, cutting through the lingering tension. Thank you, Emily managed to say, her voice catching on the weight of gratitude that swelled within her. It was terrifying for a moment. I can only imagine, Sandra replied softly. Being a parent is the hardest job, especially in moments like these. There was a warm connection in her gaze that made the world feel a little less daunting. As they spoke, Emily felt an urgency building within her. Had the chaos of the storm finally redefined the conversation she desperately needed to have? Actually, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity at your company, she began, her voice trembling with the weight of unspoken hopes. It could be a real chance for me. Sandra stepped in closer, scanning the rain-washed faces around them. I appreciate your tenacity, Emily. It's rare. Here, why don't we grab a coffee and talk? We might even have a position that suits you. Emily's heart raced. The light of possibility flickered bright, contrasting sharply with the previous chaos. Could this be the turning point she had both yearned for and feared? The thought of a chance flashed before her work, a better life for Mia, security. But alongside it, uncertainty knotted tighter. What if she couldn't handle it? What if she lost her focus again? Mia, how do you feel about a little coffee break? Emily asked, peering down at her daughter. Mia's eyes sparkled despite the remnants of tears. Can I get hot chocolate? She beamed, her earlier tension seeming to melt away like the rain. Of course. Hot chocolate it is. Emily smiled, hopeful yet cautious. As they began to walk toward the clustered cafe, Emily sensed the weight of change looming. With each step, she wondered what lay ahead: a job, a brighter future, or an unraveling of the familiar. Could she truly step into the unknown and embrace it properly for her daughter's sake? But a new storm was brewing, just beneath the surface, one made not by rain, but by the uncertainties of life as a single mom venturing into the unknown. What awaited them beyond that door? Emily felt the warmth of anticipation and anxiety intertwining as they approached the cafe. The scent of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the aroma of damp earth. It was a stark contrast to the tempest that had just unfolded, and it sent a tingle of hope through her. Mama, look, that place has a big steam cloud, Mia exclaimed, pointing at the cafe's window fogged up with warmth. The sight made Emily smile, her heart lifting slightly. If only the clouds of fear in her own mind could dissipate as easily. As they stepped inside, the cozy atmosphere enveloped them like a comforting blanket. Mia ran to a table near the window, delighting in the view of the garden drenched in color from the recent rain. Emily stayed close behind, her hands still slightly trembling. She couldn't help but glance around, half expecting someone or something to disrupt this unexpected sanctuary. Let us get the hot chocolate first, Emily said, pulling herself together. She approached the counter with Mia in tow, focusing on the reassuring routine of ordering. One hot chocolate and a coffee, please. The barista nodded and turned to prepare their drinks, leaving Emily to collect her thoughts. The conversation she wanted to have with Sandra loomed like a weight above her. She could feel it, the recognition that each moment might tug them closer to a new beginning or hurl them toward fear again. Mama, can we sit by the window? Mia's voice brought her back. She looked at her daughter, whose cheeks were still rosy, a happy spirit radiating from her. Sure, let us set up camp, Emily replied with a light-hearted laugh. They settled into their seats, the clinking of cups and low chatter surrounding them. But Emily's focus remained on Sandra, who had just walked over, coffee in hand. You two look cozy, she said with a warm smile, settling into the chair next to them. Thanks for coming over, Emily said, heightening the stakes of her words. Each syllable felt like a small step onto a precipice. I wanted to discuss the job you mentioned. As I said, your tenacity is impressive, Emily, Sandra interjected. I can't help but see how much you care about your daughter. It's a quality we value deeply in our team. Emily's heart surged at those words, guilt stirring. What if she didn't deserve this opportunity? She reminded herself that she had fought so hard, that she had the heart to make this work for both Mia and herself. Thank you, that means a lot, Emily said, keeping her voice steady. The barista returned with their drinks, and Mia took a sip of her hot chocolate, her expression lighting up as whipped cream danced on her little nose. "This is super yummy," she declared, giggling. Emily couldn't help but laugh along, grateful for the small joy that warmed her from the inside. But just as Emily was about to dive back into the depths of her fears and aspirations, it happened. A loud crash echoed from the cafe entrance. Instinctively, Emily's heart raced as she turned to see what had caused the commotion. A young man, disheveled and frazzled, had stumbled through the door, juggling an armful of papers that now scattered like autumn leaves. Eyes wide with surprise, he looked around, clearly overwhelmed. "I'm so sorry. Can I get some help?" The cafe went silent, the moment's tranquility shattered like glass. Emily's breath caught in her throat. Was this a simple accident, or was it the precursor to something deeper unfolding in her life? Caught in that moment between sympathy and uncertainty, she felt an unmistakable pull toward the unknown. Could she step into this moment with the same bravery she needed for the next step in her life? "Let us see what we can do," Emily whispered under her breath, glancing at Sandra, whose gaze shared the same questions swirling in her mind. As they rose from their seats, a question burned within Emily. Was this just the beginning of a new storm, or was it a chance to transform their lives in ways she never imagined? The young man took a hesitant step forward, eyes darting from person to person, as if searching for a lifeline. His hands were trembling slightly, and a few sheets of paper fluttered away like forgotten dreams. Emily could feel the weight of a decision pressing down on her. Would she step forward, or would she remain seated, an observer in her own life? "Mama, can I help him?" Mia asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and concern. Emily looked down, her daughter's earnest expression tugging at her heartstrings. This wasn't just about her. Mia had a heart full of compassion. "Of course, sweetie. Let us see what we can do," Emily replied, feeling a rush of warmth. It felt right to act, to channel the energy stirring in her. She reached for Sandra's hand, and they closed the distance to the young man. "Hey there," Emily said gently. "We saw what happened. How can we help?" He exhaled sharply, visibly relieved by their approach. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make such a scene. I was trying to get these papers organized for my presentation. And oh, you don't want to hear my excuses. What is your name?" Emily asked, trying to ease the tension. "Dan," he said, glancing down at the chaos around him. "I just started here at the university. This is my first day, and I'm terrified. I thought maybe getting a good presentation together would impress everyone. But then I swear, I just became a walking disaster." Emily chuckled softly, and to her surprise, Sandra joined in. "You know, everyone has a first day. We've all been there." Mia bent to pick up a paper that had landed near her feet. "What is this about?" she asked innocently, holding it up like a treasure. Well, it's part of my notes about community outreach," Dan stammered, scratching his head. "I was trying to create a plan to reach out to folks who might need our programs, but I guess it all just flew out of my hands." "Can I help?" Mia offered, her confidence shining through. "I can put things back together while you talk." Emily's heart swelled with pride. Here was her daughter, a natural collaborator, ready to take action where fear had once taken root. Dan looked at Mia, his eyes softening. "That would actually be amazing. Thank you." As Emily and Sandra helped gather the scattered papers, an energy filled the cafe. Customers resumed their conversations, but their glances lingered on this small group of hope and kindness. "See, it's turning out okay," Emily said, meeting Sandra's gaze. She could see the silent approval etched on her face. "Yeah, it really is," Sandra replied, her voice filled with warmth. "And I think you just found a way to tackle your nerves, didn't you, Dan?" He chuckled, a genuine sound that broke the weight of the moment. "I guess so. Thanks for saying that. Just a little support goes a long way." As they finished tidying up, Emily felt a sense of lightness in her chest. Perhaps this unexpected encounter was what she needed today, the realization that vulnerability, when shared, led to connection. Here she was in a new place, experiencing the lifting of her own anxieties alongside Dan's. Mia returned with the last piece of paper, a proud smile lighting up her face. "All done. Just in time," Dan said, his relief palpable. "Thank you so much, all of you. I really didn't expect this kind of kindness on my first day. Remember it, and pay it forward," Sandra encouraged. As they left the cafe, The earlier tension that had gripped Emily seemed a distant memory. Conversations sparked in her mind about the future job and the potential it held. Present moments like these strengthened her resolve, whispers of encouragement lighting a new path forward. But just as they stepped onto the sidewalk, a voice called from behind them. Dan, wait. Emily turned to see a figure rushing toward them, and her heart dropped. The energy shifted again, and she felt a twinge of anxiety. What now? Would this moment of connection splinter, or would it reinforce the budding hope she dared to hold on to? The figure approaching was a tall woman with curly hair cascading down her shoulders. Emily squinted against the sunlight, trying to focus. Was Dan in trouble? The thought made her stomach twist. Dan. The woman called again, urgency lacing her tone. I was looking for you. Dan turned, his earlier relief shifting into uncertainty. Oh no, he muttered, his shoulders slumping. What did I forget? Not what you forgot, the woman said, finally catching up. It's what you did. I just saw your presentation materials floating away, and I can't believe the presentation you're planning for this afternoon. Your ideas are brilliant. Emily watched as Dan's expression morphed from apprehension to confusion. You really think so? He asked, disbelief carving lines on his forehead. Absolutely. I'm Rachel, by the way, on the outreach committee. I've been reading through your proposal drafts, and I think they have real potential. But don't worry about the papers. You've got heart, and trust me, that's what people respond to the most, Rachel said, her voice buoyant. Dan blinked, processing Rachel's enthusiastic reassurance. I can't believe you saw any of that, such a mess, he admitted, glancing back at the scattered papers still on the ground. Mia, still hanging on to Dan's every word, chimed in. You helped so many people with your ideas. That's why you were so worried, right? Dan nodded, glancing around at the little crowd that had gathered. I just wanted to start on the right foot. I thought that if I could get something impactful out today, maybe I'd finally belong here. Emily felt a pang in her chest. She understood that feeling all too well, the desire to be accepted and to contribute something meaningful to the community. The air felt thick with unspoken needs, both Dan's and her own. You belong here, Dan, Emily said, stepping forward. Believe it or not, you've already connected with us. Just by being yourself. That's what people relate to. Rachel smiled brightly at Emily. Exactly. You have something special, and I see it. Just present from the heart, you'll be amazing. As Dan's smile returned, Emily couldn't help but feel that little spark of hope grow brighter. Maybe today wasn't just a stressful day. Maybe this was the start of something beautiful for him, and perhaps for herself as well. Let us go to the presentation together, Rachel suggested, glancing down at the remaining papers. You can explain the ideas while we fix the mess. I've got your back. Dan's shoulders released some tension, and he nodded. Yeah, let us do that. Thanks for believing in me. He turned to Mia and added, and thank you for helping me gather it all. You're my lucky charm. I'll make sure to cheer for you. Mia beamed, bouncing on her toes. Just before they turned to leave, Emily caught Sandra's eye, and they exchanged a silent understanding. They had come together in the cafe, strangers even, but now here they were, united in this moment of connection and encouragement. As they started toward the presentation area, Emily couldn't shake the sinking feeling that they were teetering on the brink of change. With each step, she realized that the act of reaching out could lead to something extraordinary. But just as they turned the corner, the distant sound of shouting caught their attention. A storm was brewing in the air, and Emily knew they were about to face yet another challenge. Would this moment of growth be enough to weather whatever was coming next? The shouting grew louder, turning the air thick with tension. Emily's heart raced. She glanced back at Dan, who wore a frown of concern, and Rachel, whose smile had faded. Their little bubble of optimism felt fragile now, trembling under the weight of the unexpected chaos. Rounding the corner of the building, they faced a small knot of people gathered around a man struggling to get a point across. His face flushed, and his finger pointed emphatically. I'm telling you, we need real change. Enough with just talk. His voice was laced with urgency, and whispers rippled through the crowd like a wave. What is going on? Dan asked, confusion etched across his face. I don't know, but it seems like something serious, Emily replied, trying to peer over the heads in front of her. Mia tugged at Dan's sleeve. Maybe we should help? Before Dan could respond, Rachel stepped forward. Let us find out. This could be connected to your presentation. Maybe you can offer some insights. They moved closer, threading through the thickening crowd. Emily could feel the electric energy in the air, the way it vibrated and teased at something waiting to break free. It was unsettling yet strangely compelling. The man continued, clearly frustrated. We have ideas. We have plans. What we lack is action. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about the future. How many lives are we willing to leave behind? Dan glanced at Rachel, then back toward the speaker. He's right. We need to engage more people, be part of the discussion. What is the harm in trying? Emily felt a warmth spread in her chest, seeing Dan stepping into the moment, his worries about the presentation falling away for now. You could add something valuable, she encouraged him, her heart swelling with pride. Is that your plan too? The man on the stand queried, turning his attention on Dan who stood behind Rachel. The crowd fell silent, eyes now trained on Dan. Yeah. I have a presentation this afternoon. It's about community initiatives, how we can make a real impact, Dan said, his voice gaining strength. But I think maybe we should start now. I want to listen to everyone's concerns and ideas. Let us get the ball rolling. Rachel's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as she nodded. Exactly. We can build from each other's ideas. There's so much we can do together. The crowd began to buzz at Dan's words, slowly rallying around the thought of coming together to create change. Encouragement bounced back and forth, instilling a sense of unity. Emily felt a surge of hope. Maybe today was indeed a turning point for Dan, and perhaps also for herself. But then, just as the energy peaked, a loud crash interrupted the moment. Something heavy slammed to the ground nearby, causing a startled gasp to ripple through the crowd. Emily's stomach dropped as a shadow flicked past. The commotion and energy shifted from inspiration to confusion, the undercurrent of fear now palpable. What was that? Mia asked, gripping Dan's arm tighter. I need to check it out, he whispered, but Emily felt a twinge of apprehension. Would this be another test of their resolve? The excitement and connection they had built moments ago hung precariously in the balance. Would they be able to hold on, or would they be swept away by whatever storm had come crashing down around them? Determined, Emily insisted, we should stick together. Let us see what is happening. As they pushed through the crowd, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to discover something significant, something that would either propel them forward or unravel everything they had built. What awaited them behind that chaos? The crowd parted as they approached the source of the noise. Emily's heart raced as she coughed through the dust that rose from the ground. The air was thick, almost suffocating. She spotted the large metal sign that had fallen, a grim reminder of the fragility of their situation. Is everyone okay? Dan called out, his voice trying to cut through the murmur of fears and worries that danced in the air. From behind the fallen sign, a woman's voice emerged, a bit shaky but resolute. I think so. Just a bit startled. Emily took a breath of relief, feeling momentarily reassured. But then she noticed a child, wide-eyed and trembling, clinging to the woman's leg. The sight tightened a knot in her stomach. Just a bit startled seemed far too casual to describe the chaos surrounding them. Dan rushed to help lift the sign. We need to move this. Everyone, watch your step. He looked at Rachel, a determined spark igniting in his eyes. Can you help with the kids? Make sure they're safe? Of course. Rachel responded, her voice steady. She approached the frightened child, kneeling down to meet the girl's gaze. Hey there. You're okay. We're here to help, all right? The girl nodded slowly, her lip quivering as Rachel gently took her hand, leading her away from the wreckage. Meanwhile, Emily and Dan, with a few others, managed to lift the sign just enough to check for any further injuries. This could have been much worse. Dan breathed out, sweat beading on his forehead. I'm glad no one got hurt. But as they assessed the scene, the speaker from earlier re-emerged to the forefront, his energy now mixed with concern. See, this is why action is critical, people. We need to change things before it's too late. A few in the crowd nodded in agreement, voices rising as they started to express frustration and fear. Yes, right. What if something more dangerous happens? Murmurs of discontent echoed through the crowd, but Emily could sense something deeper beneath the surface. People were ready for change, and that yearning hung thick in the air. Moments like these revealed the true edges of their community, their resilience, their fears, and their hope. I think we can channel this moment, Emily said, finding her voice as she stepped forward. No one wants to feel unsafe or helpless. Let's not let fear win. Let us work together to ensure this doesn't happen again. The crowd reacted, the murmurs shifting into loud affirmations. Yes, we can make a difference. Dan caught Emily's eye, pride shining in his expression as he took her hand. He squeezed it tight, grounding her in the moment. But before they could fully embrace the warmth of that connection, the shadow that had flickered earlier darted back into view. It was a man, tall and rugged, intruding on their fragile moment of unity. What makes you think you can change anything? He challenged, his voice dripping with cynicism. You think words will be enough? The crowd turned sharply, tension rippling through the air once more. Emily's heart sank. Was this confrontation just another test for them? Or was it an invitation to confront their own fears and fight back? Taking a deep breath, Emily stepped forward. What if we took that challenge? What if we show everyone that change is possible when we stand together? She felt the crowd's energy shift, eyes turning towards her, and she knew this was only the beginning. But what if that bold declaration triggered something unexpected, something unforeseen that would force them all to confront not just external conflicts, but the battles within themselves? Would they all be ready for what lay ahead? The tension in the air was palpable as Emily stood firm. Around her, the crowd responded slowly, with hesitant murmurs of agreement gathering strength. Each voice blended into a chorus of hope, rising like a phoenix from the ashes of uncertainty. She was no longer invisible. She was not just a single mom fighting against the tide. In that moment, together, they were a community. Mark emerged from the edge of the crowd, pushing his way through, his expression a mix of admiration and determination. What you're saying is powerful, Emily, he called out, catching her gaze. Change isn't just talk, it's action, and it starts with trying, together. The crowd nodded, their resolve strengthening. Mia squeezed Emily's hand, wide-eyed but inspired. Mommy, you're so brave, she whispered, and for a moment, every fear that Emily had ever held at bay evaporated in the warmth of her daughter's belief. Then, as if underscoring their communal spirit, the man who had challenged them earlier stood mute, flabbergasted by the shift in energy. The crowd's murmurs intensified, reinforcing Emily's words, each repetition like a building block towards something greater. We can make it happen. Yes, together we will. Let us create change. Emily took a steadying breath. You don't have to be afraid anymore. We can work towards a brighter future, one where everyone feels safe. Her voice rang out with the certainty she'd fought so hard to achieve, and the crowd erupted in supportive cheers. The rugged man's stance wavered, confusion etched across his features. Emily took a step forward, staring right at him. Challenge us, if you must. But know this. It's because of moments like this, filled with pain and strength, that we work towards something better. As the man registered her words, his hardened expression softened. It was almost as if something had clicked inside him. Perhaps he had also been seeking connection. Perhaps their raw honesty was the very thing he struggled to embrace. Emily felt a shift in the air, a window of understanding where everyone could step through together. Encouraged by the moment, Dan seized the opportunity. We have ideas that are worth sharing. Those plans I gathered today may have been scattered, but now we're piecing them together with this community. The crowd erupted in applause, its enthusiasm propelling Dan into action. Let us gather input right now. What does everyone need to feel safe here? With each suggestion from the audience, a sense of unity blossomed. They shared stories, dreams, and fears. Rachel moved seamlessly among the crowd, collecting ideas, her energy infectious. Before long, they were brainstorming ways to bring the community together: a neighborhood watch, safety measures for events, programs to support families like Emily's. Hope was on the horizon that the plan began to crystallize. Emily felt buoyed. This was how change began, not with flashy ideas, but with simple, steadfast connection. Mark approached, pride etched in his features. You've inspired everyone, Emily. This community is yours to lead with your heart, he said softly, yet with a clarity that struck her deep. Mia looked up at her mother, her young face filled with admiration. You're like a hero. Tears prickled at the corners of Emily's eyes as she embraced Mia. We're all heroes when we stand together, she said, wiping away the rain-soaked remnants of fear. The crowd could feel the shift from chaos to calm, insecurity to courage as the day wound to a close. The rain began to cease entirely. The sun broke through the remnants of clouds, casting a warm glow across the park. Emily took a deep inhale, the scent of wet earth mixing with the sweet smell of possibility. "Here's the deal," she began, addressing the crowd once more. "Let us not just talk, let us commit to this change. We will gather again and start making those ideas a reality." The crowd roared in approval, an electric thrill humming amongst them. It was a pact, a promise to build something beautiful out of their collective experiences and dreams. As they began to disperse, excited chatter thrumming in the air, Emily realized something profound. This day had started with her standing on the precipice of fear and doubt. But now, she was leading a movement, armed with the steadfast love for her daughter and the unwavering belief in her community. Mark sidled up beside her, warmth radiating off him. "You really did it, Emily." Emily smiled through her tears, finally seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. The American dream was not just for the privileged. It was for those who believed, fought, and uplifted each other. It was their dream to share, to shape together. As they walked home, hand in hand, Emily knew that together they could weather any storm. And for the first time, she felt free, her heart full of courage and hope for what lay ahead. If you felt inspired by Emily's journey, if you believe in the power of community and transformation, make sure to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that will uplift and empower you. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and spread these incredible tales. Your support makes all the difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from real fans like you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. The time for change is now.